Welcome back, everybody. Ready for another deep dive?
Let's do it.
All right, so today we're going, we're going to be talking about something that's pretty common these days, I guess.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And it has to do with friendship and politics.
Yeah, and specifically how they collide.
Yeah.
It's a story that starts online. Might seem like your typical internet drama at first glance.
Right.
But it really raises questions about our society and how we deal with these things.
Yeah. And big thanks to the OtisWho network out of St. Louis for supporting us. This deep dive is about a TikToker named Danny Boy San Diego. He's the one who kind of went viral for cutting off his longtime friend because she supports Trump.
Yeah, and it really highlights how much politics can impact us personally.
Yeah, so who are these people?
Right.
So we've got Danny Boy. He's been open about it all on TikTok.
Yeah.
And then there's his friend. We don't actually know her name from the sources we have.
Right.
But we do know they were friends for a long time, like 20 years. Grew up together, all that.
And to make things even more complex, his friend is Cuban-American.
Wow.
Her mother actually immigrated here and only recently became a citizen.
Oh, wow.
So it makes you think about the irony of her supporting someone with strong stances on immigration.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. And I mean, even crazier, she had a drag queen at her wedding. So it's just like, huh.
Yeah, like how do you reconcile that, you know?
Yeah.
Supporting someone with those views when you have those experiences
Totally.
it makes you wonder how much weight we put on politics and relationships.
For sure. So Danny Boy obviously had his limits. He went online, was super frustrated with her pro-Trump views.
Yeah.
And he even said something like, and I'm paraphrasing here, that she'll never be white enough for Trump supporters.
That really brings race into it.
For sure.
It's not always just about like the political ideas,
Right.
but identity too.
Right. It's like who's in, who's out.
Right? Based on your political stance.
Exactly. And things get even darker when you consider that Danny Boy.
Yeah.
Didn't stop at disagreeing. He threatened to reveal her secrets. Stuff she told him in confidence over the years.
Yeah, that's where it gets tricky. You can understand his anger and betrayal. But to expose someone's secrets, someone you've been close to for so long, seems like a line you shouldn't cross.
Right.
Makes you wonder about the boundaries of friendship.
Totally. Like how far is too far?
It really makes you think about what's okay and what's not.
Yeah. Where do we draw the line? It's one thing to just disagree with someone, but threatening to expose their secrets like that is kind of a whole other level.
For sure. And, you know, this isn't just about them. This story actually connects to a way bigger issue we see everywhere.
You mean like political polarization?
Exactly.
We hear about it all the time in the
Yeah.
news, but this really shows how it affects people on a personal level.
Absolutely. And there's research that shows just how much it's impacting relationships, not even just online, but in real life, too.
Like your kind of research.
Well, there was a study from the Pew Research Center back in 2020. It found that a lot of Americans have lost friends or had problems with family, all because of political disagreements.
So it's not just Danny Boy and his friend. This is like a widespread thing.
Yeah, it's happening all over.
Wow. So
Well,
families arguing at Thanksgiving, friends unfriending each other online. It's like we're living in two completely different worlds.
right. And it makes you wonder, are we becoming less tolerant of other viewpoints?
Yeah. Can you even have a healthy relationship with someone if you see the world so differently politically?
That's a good question.
It's like everyone expects their friends to agree with them politically, or at least understand where they're coming from. And if they don't, it's like some kind of major betrayal.
Yeah, it's almost like our political beliefs are becoming a core part of who we are, maybe even more than religion or cultural background.
And when someone challenges those beliefs, you feel personally attacked.
Exactly, and that can lead to really strong emotional reactions, like
Yeah.
we saw with Danny Boy.
Yeah, but going back to the ethics of it all, what do you think? Was his reaction justified?
Well, it's complicated, right? It makes sense to feel hurt and betrayed when someone you're close to supports things you find harmful or offensive. But the question is, how do we deal with those feelings without making things worse?
Right. It's like you said before, there are lines you shouldn't cross. This reminds me of something we found in our research. This guy, Dr. Rashad Ritchie, he has a show called Indisputable.
Oh, yeah.
And he talks about how in America, we have the freedom to have unpopular opinions. But that doesn't mean other people have to like those opinions or even be around us.
Yeah, Dr. Ritchie and his freedom to be unlikable.
It's a really important point.
He's basically saying just because you can believe something doesn't mean there won't be social consequences.
So like Danny Boy's friend could support Trump, but she also had to accept that it might affect her relationships.
Exactly. It's that tension between personal freedom and how our choices affect others.
A tough balance. It makes you wonder, can we actually bridge that divide? Can we find common ground with people who have totally different political views?
That's the million-dollar question.
Or are we just stuck in these separate worlds?
I honestly don't think there's an easy answer. Some people think we can bridge the gap with open dialogue and respectful debate.
Which sounds great in theory,
But it takes a lot of willingness to listen and be open-minded,
which can be hard to find these days.
especially when things feel so important.
Right, we're not just talking about theories here. These issues like immigration, healthcare, social justice, they have real consequences for real people.
You're absolutely right. It's not just about disagreeing on taxes or the size of the government. It's about our core values and beliefs about the world.
So where do we go from here? If even a 20-year friendship can end over politics, can any relationship survive these divides?
It's definitely challenging.
Or are we all just setting ourselves up for more heartbreak?
It's not hopeless. I truly believe there are people out there who are committed to having relationships across political lines, even if it means tough conversations and accepting disagreements.
But that takes effort, right? It won't just happen magically.
Oh, right. We have to actively build bridges and find that common ground.
And that might mean setting boundaries, agreeing to disagree on certain things,
Yeah.
or focusing on things we have in common outside of politics.
Exactly. Like maybe you both love bad reality TV or vintage video games.
It's about remembering that people are complex. Our political beliefs are just one part of who we are.
That's a really good point.
And reducing someone to their political views ignores everything else about them.
And that brings us to a question we want to leave you with today.
What's the question?
So how would you handle it? If a close friend's political views were like totally against your values?
Oh, man, that's a tough one.
It is.
There's no easy answer, right?
Not really. Depends.
On a lot of things.
Yeah, how intense the clash is, how long you've been friends, your own tolerance level, it's all part of it.
Yeah, I guess so.
But Danny Boy's story really shows us how politics can reach beyond just voting.
Right. It affects our personal lives, too.
It makes you think about your own boundaries.
Yeah, are there certain beliefs that are just like deal breakers for you?
Right.
And if so, how do you even talk about that with people without things getting crazy?
Those are good questions to think about.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong answer, but it's important to be self-aware
Yeah.
and think about the consequences of our choices.
Both for ourselves and the people around us.
Exactly.
I think it's also about remembering that even when we disagree politically,
Mm-hmm.
there's still room for empathy.
Yeah.
We don't have to agree with someone to respect their right to have their own beliefs.
Well said. And sometimes even when we try, our best relationships just end.
Yeah.
It's sad, but it's true. Not every friendship can survive these kinds of clashes.
This has been quite the deep dive.
It has.
We went from TikTok drama to some really deep questions about friendship and politics and, like, the state of our society.
Yeah, it's been a journey.
I think we've all learned something today
I hope so.
about how complex human connection is and the power of our beliefs.
And how to navigate those differences with, hopefully, a little bit of grace.
For sure.
Maybe this will encourage people to have those tough conversations with themselves and with their loved ones.
Yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts, too. How has politics affected your relationships? Have you ever had to rethink a friendship because of different views? Let us know. Keep diving deep and stay curious out there.